You are now tuned into a brand new episode of the Simply Ball Dropping Podcast. I'm your host and the man behind the mic, K Sapp. Well, guys, we're on the eve of the debut start for Shedeur Sanders versus the Las Vegas Raiders. Will the spotlight be too big for Shadur? Will he just be legendary? Well, we have CBS analyst Emmery Hunt. He gives you a great perspective on what he thinks Shedeur Sanders will do against the Las Vegas Raiders. And we're going to talk about it all here right after this. Well, guys, man, we on the eve of Shedeur Sanders starting his first NFL game against the Las Vegas Raiders in Week 12. Now, a lot of people have been weighing in on this situation. And me, honestly, a lot of people think that the spotlight might be a little bit too bright for Shedeur Sanders, but I beg to differ. Shedeur Sanders is cut from a different cloth. Shedeur Sanders is legendary, and a lot of people been waiting for this moment. And we're going to get a chance to see Shedeur Sanders step out on that field against the Las Vegas Raiders tomorrow. And it's going to be legendary. And me personally, I've told you guys, I think this is probably going to be one of the most watched games in the NFL this year. And it might be one of the most watched games in recent memories. And a lot of people have been talking about this. A lot of people have been wanting this for a long time. You know, the storyline between him and Dillon Gabriel, who should be the starting quarterback. There's been reports out that the coaches in the locker room, there was some turmoil between the coaches because some coaches wanted to see Shadur, some coaches wanted to see Dillon Gabriel, and it was a lot of friction. And, you know, we've been covering things about Kevin Stefanski, on about his dislike for Shadur. Is he sabotaging Shadur? But now the moment has finally came that Shedeur Sanders is going to get his first NFL start. And me personally, I don't think the spotlight is too big for Shadur. Shedeur Sanders been through adversity. He's always said it's God's plan, it's God's timing, and it's perfect timing. And I just think Shedeur Sanders is ready for it. And I think Shedeur Sanders will silence a lot of his critics, the haters out there that are wishing for Shedeur Sanders to fail and wishing for Shedeur Sanders to go out there and lay a dud so they can say, I told you so, because a lot of people jumped the gun when he was put in the game in the second half against the Baltimore Ravens, and he didn't do too well. But all the reports came out that the reason behind that is Kevin Stefanski this whole time was never giving Shedeur Sanders any first-team reps. He had no continuity with the offensive linemen. He had no continuity with the receivers. He had no continuity with the offensive line, knowing his cadence. You heard what the offensive linemen had to say the next day. They said, well, this is the first time I've heard Shedeur Sanders behind center. So the timing was off, but now I think it's perfect timing. And Emory Hunt of CBS Sports, he laid it down. And he gave you his perspective on what you're going to see from Shedeur Sanders. But before we get off into that, we partnered up with Underdog Fantasy, and this is a word from our sponsor.
Underdog Fantasy is the best way to play fantasy sports. Let me tell you about the easiest way to get in on some WNBA and NBA action. Find your player, pick higher or lower, win you some extra cash. Pick between 2 to 5 players to fill out your pick'em entry, get every pick right, and win some serious cash. Use my promo code SBD23 and receive up to $1,000 in bonus cash. Now that it's football time, follow Simply Ball Dropping as I share my picks. Like I said, pick your player, choose your amount, win money. Make picks, win cash. Thank you, Underdog Fantasy, for the partnership with us. And thank you for using promo code SBD23 on Underdog Fantasy.
Now, guys, with that being said, man, let's listen to what Emmery Hunt said, and he put the haters on blast. Let's take a listen.
And so much more. We head out to the fan hotline and welcome on the owner and operator of Football Game Plan and CBS Sports HQ, Emory Hunt. Emmery, welcome to the show, bud.
Glad to be on, guys. Appreciate you having me.
Well, it's always great to have you. Always have such a great perspective on this. I guess we'll start here. You've been a guy that believed in Shadur in the pre-draft process and all the way through the draft. What are your expectations on Sunday for Shadur in his first NFL start?
It's going to be exciting because the one thing he has right now with the Browns that he's never had at Jackson State or at Colorado is a run game. And so the fact that he can play a balanced game, I'm excited to see what that looks like. That's something that we hadn't really seen before. But I expect him personally just to play within himself, play his game, do the easy stuff within the 20s, and inside the 20 where he really excelled in college, be Shedeur Sanders. So he can play the Dillon Gabriel game within the 20s, and then once you get inside the 20s, that's when you see him supersede and play above the X's and O's, and that's where Shedeur Sanders really stood out at Jackson State. He stood out there in Colorado, and he's going to stand out here, I believe, in the pros in that regard.
Yeah, it's something we've been talking about for the first little bit of the show here is, will he revert back to what we think Stefanski wants him to be, which is more like Dillon Gabriel, or is he going to be able to be himself? Do you feel like when you watch on Sunday, you'll see classic Shedeur?
Yeah, you'll see classic Shadur. And the thing is, here's the ironic twist about this ball game is because they can play the Dillon Gabriel game and win this ball game strictly off the run game and the defense, because that's where the Raiders will have some issues dealing with the Browns defense.
That's a good point.
And also dealing with the consistency of this run game. Now, when you add the ability to push the ball at the intermediate to deep levels as opposed to short to intermediate, that's where Shedeur Sanders can help extend this game and help these guys score 20 points offensively, as opposed to what we've seen from them under Gabriel in this offense, which has been sort of truncated in terms of it's a short to short intermediate as opposed to an intermediate to deep passing game. So when you have the ability to expand the passing game, you kind of lift that umbrella up a little bit on the defense, which allows you then to run the football rather well. Play action pass will be a much more vital and critical and successful, and you have a threat now at quarterback that can push that ball deep, which changes how you play defense against the Browns.
Emory, I'm not going to surprise you here. The discourse around Shadur has taken over the actual football of Shadur, with people that don't like him. We call them haters, and the people that just unapologetically love him. Supporters, I'm curious to take people all the way back to the draft. One of the knocks from haters is, well, he's a fifth-round pick. Is that where you had, in terms of his draft value, where did you have Shadur and why?
He was my number one quarterback in the class, and I compared him to Joe Burrow. And the reason why I compared him to Burrow, we saw that manifest itself in the preseason, both with Burrow and with Shadur, right? We saw Shadur not knowing when to let a dead play die, took a crazy sack. Then we saw Burrow later on that week against the Washington Commanders in the preseason, took a crazy sack where he held the ball for like 9 seconds instead of throwing it away and took like a 15-yard loss. So that was the Shadur part negative that I compared Burrow to. The positive was that when the game is on the line, when you need those gotta-have-it moments, that's where Shadur really excelled. And we saw that at Jackson State, time and time again, playing high-level football, winning back-to-back SWAC championships. And we saw it at Colorado when he was able to turn that team around in just one short offseason. Exactly. But my thing is, people are always fascinated. When you talk about fifth-round pick, he's not a fifth-round talent. He went in the fifth round. That's like saying Isaiah Bond is an undrafted talent. No, he was a first or second-round talent that just happened to go undrafted because of unforeseen issues. But these are the same people that had Shedeur Sanders as day one pick or a second-round talent. Now, these are the same ones that are telling us that the 2026 class is going to be great with Nussmeier, Beck, Arch Manning, Cade Klubnik, Lenore Sellers. Not one of these same people mentioned Moore, Simpson, and Mendoza. So why would we listen to those same people?
Now, you heard what Emmery Hunt had to say. I think Emmery Hunt laid it down. I think Emmery Hunt gave a great breakdown on what to expect from Shedeur Sanders with a game plan. He had all week to prepare. He was getting first-team reps. That's what they was telling us. So he had a whole week to prepare for the Las Vegas Raiders. And I think tomorrow it's going to be legendary. And this is going to be a game that everybody got their eye on because it's going to be a lot of people, like the guy said, just your haters are going to come out in droves if Shedeur Sanders don't get it done and the Cleveland Browns take an L to the Las Vegas Raiders. But then if Shadur gets it done, it's going to be a lot of people coming out trying to move the goalpost saying it was only the Raiders that see another game. We can't let them move the goalposts. And Emmery Hunt was right on point. I see everybody in the comment section, #salute. Get down in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts, what to expect tomorrow from Shedeur Sanders against the Las Vegas Raiders. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, turn your post notifications on so you know every time Simply Ball drops another hot banger. Oh yeah, just in case I forgot, tell a friend to tell a friend. It might not be for you, but it might be for them. And this is going to wrap up another episode of the Simply Ball Dropping Podcast. I'm your host and the man behind the mic, K-Sap. Guess what? We're going to catch you on the next one. Deuces.
Thanks for listening to the Simply Ball Dropping Podcast. Be sure to subscribe, like, and share on all major platforms.
That's all, folks.